Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Fuller, and as Chair of the Board, I welcome you to this June 20th, 2023 regular meeting of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Our office coordinator, Aaron Smith, will describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda packet, and how people may participate remotely. Aaron.
Thanks, Chair Fuller. There are multiple ways to make public comment during today's board meeting, whether you're joining us in person or virtually. If you're here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill out the sign-in sheet now. If you're joining us virtually, we will ask you to raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you're joining us virtually and are experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and our communications manager will help you troubleshoot. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the next few days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table near the front door and is also posted on our website. And now I'll turn it over to Chair Fuller.
Thank you, Aaron. And I now call this June 20th, 2023 regular meeting to order and ask Aaron to call the roll.
Chair Bart Fuller.
Present.
Vice Chair Rod Green.
Here.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Here.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Present.
And Commissioner Jeff Schmers.
Present.
And the following directors are in attendance: Managing Director Cheryl Siddle, Director of Engineering and County Highway Engineer Matt Washtenaw, Director of Operations Adam Lape, and Director of Finance and IT Dan Ackerman.
Thank you. If you would please join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move.
Support.
Any discussion? Additions, deletions, corrections? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Schmers,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes, the agenda is approved as presented. We have one set of minutes today to deal with. May I have a motion to accept the board meeting minutes of June 6th, 2023 as presented, appearing on pages 4 through 16 of the packet?
So moved.
Support. Any additions, deletions, corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please.
Commissioner Jeff Schmers,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes, the minutes are approved as presented. Next item on our agenda is public comment. This is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. This is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board. Aaron will explain how people may be recognized to offer comments.
Thanks, Chair Fuller. Since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we will take turns between those attending in person and virtually. For virtual attendees, we have provided some instructions on the screen on how to participate and make public comment. If you're attending this meeting virtually and would like to make public comment, please raise your hand now. If you dialed into the meeting from your phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. Our communications manager will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time and will announce your username or last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. Please share your name and address before beginning your comments. And then for in-person attendees, we will start with those who signed up on the sign-in sheet as you walked in. If you didn't sign in, you're still welcome to make public comment. At this time, there is no hands raised to make public comment.
Very good. We will move along. Next item on our agenda are written communications detailed on pages 17 and 18 of the packet. Commissioners, anything you wish to draw our attention to? Seeing none, we will move along. There was no public comments, so we will bypass that item on our agenda. New business, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, items 1 and 2. Back up on pages 19 through 52. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Any items that you have questions about? Commissioner Yamas, you look like you're ready to. No, okay. Just trying to read the signs. Very good. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Burt Buller.
The consent agenda is approved as presented. We have one action item today. May I have a motion to cast our vote for Brett Laughlin as at-large director and Timothy Elkins, Southeastern Director of the 2023 Michigan County Road Commission Self-Insurance Pool Board of Directors.
So,
Described on page 39, and please note these are the only candidates that have applied for these two positions.
so move.
Support.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Yamas?
So for the Board of Directors, there's only one name on here, Timothy Elkins. On the ballot, it says vote for one.
Yes?
So the added name, is there a second ballot that I'm missing?
No, the ballot before the one with Mr. Elkins.
Okay, that, oh, I see it. I missed it.
You got it?
I have it.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Any other questions? Aaron, please.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner Jeff Smurs,
Yes.
and Commissioner Burt Buller.
Yes, those two nominations have been voted affirmatively by this board as presented. Next up, we have reports. It appears that we have both of our county commissioners with us today. County Commissioner Caroline Sanders from District 4. Would you care to comment or offer any observations to us today?
Good afternoon. I'll just share with you that the county participated in their third recognition celebration of Juneteenth Day today, since the county was closed yesterday for the holiday. And we had a standing room only audience and a very nice but concise program. That is it, other than I do want to share with you that I feel like I need to possibly reconsider my employment status and switch to the road commission, because the benefit presentation that was done this morning, I'm really thinking about getting my CDL and moving on over, because it was mouth watering. So anyway, excellent presentation. Good to see that we've got, excellent jobs and benefits for those that choose to work here in Washtenaw County. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanders. Commissioner Crystal Light from District 2 is also with us today. Ms. Light, would you care to comment?
Yes, good afternoon. I am so happy that I could join you all this afternoon. I too attended the Juneteenth celebration with Commissioner Sanders, and I don't have any new updates as of now. I'm just glad that I can join you so that I am able to take some updates back to District 2. So you all have a good rest of the day, and I'm glad I could be with you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Light. We will move on to the report of the road commissioners, starting with Commissioner Green.
I have no report.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes, on January 7th, I attended the Road Plus event in Lansing, and I met with Representative Jimmy Wilson for lunch. On June 13th, I attended the Washtenaw County Parks and Rec meeting. And there's a B2B to news update. Delhi to Wagner and Badimir to Barton Tunnel project have secured funding, and they are approximately 50% through engineering and permitting. Staff recommends an analysis of the options to determine the final proposed alignment for an eventual grant application. Due to the complexity of this project, comprehensive supporting documentation will be critical to future grant funding success. So the commission authorized a contract with ASTI in the amount of $50,000. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Schmers.
No report at this time.
Commissioner Yamas.
I attended chat on 6/7 and on 6/14 and have read all the legislative updates from CRA. I won't name all those, and that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Very much. I will report that on June 7th, along with Commissioner McCollum, I attended the Roads Plus legislative reception in Lansing. We greeted members from the Washtenaw County delegation, including Senator Sue Schenck, 14th District, State Representative Jimmy Wilson Jr., 32nd House District, State Representative Carrie Ryan Gans, 47th House District, State Representative Jason Morgan, 23rd District. Jason sent us a text message in the midst of the luncheon to tell us he was in a committee meeting and apologized for not being able to attend. Also joining us at our table for lunch were State Representatives Donovan McKinney, 14th House District in Detroit, State Representative Sharon McDonald, 56th House District, she's from Troy, and State Representative Amos O'Neill, 94th House District from Saginaw. For the record, I want to acknowledge receipt of Managing Director Cheryl Siddle's June 14th, 2023 letter announcing that she will retire at the end of this year, her last day being December 27th of 2023. I also want to note that there are an increasing and alarming number of close calls and actual incidents of angry drivers putting the safety of our road workers in jeopardy. Distracted and angry members of the traveling public are ignoring active work zone slowdowns, as well as road closures and barriers that are in place. This is a serious concern, and suggestions are welcomed about how to keep workers safe and address the disregard of road closures by the traveling public. And that concludes my report. Moving along to our Managing Director, Ms. Siddle, do you want to take it from here?
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Fuller. Just a couple of things that I'd like to bring to the board's attention. We did receive confirmation that the Board of Commissioners moved their meeting date from July 5th to July 12th. So I and Coy Vaughn will be presenting at their working session. Again, that's July 12th, and that's at 5:30 p.m. are the working sessions. Excuse me. On our intent to request renew and restore of the county road and non-motorized millage. I also want to share, actually with a big smile on my face, the fact that we received our new mod factor from CRACIF, who is our workers' comp insurance carrier, essentially. And our mod factor actually dropped. We were really quite proud last year, and we actually dropped, we believe, to an all-time low of 0.668. So we're very, very proud of that effort. That took a lot of work on behalf of our staff. I'd like to also think it reflects that we have a full-time safety coordinator, Craig Timmer. He's absolutely amazing out and about with staff, trying to encourage them to have safety just be a part of our everyday culture. I don't want to say that we aren't thinking about it. I think that it means that it's right at the forefront of every single thing that we do. And just integrated into our everyday work practices. But I'm really proud of our workforce from having brought that mod factor down even further. So again, that was just a huge, huge, wonderful piece of news that we received yesterday. And finally, I just wanted to share tomorrow, MDOT is having an open house at Washtenaw Community College at the Morris Lawrence Hall, I believe is the name of that hall, right where we had our spring training a couple of weeks ago. It is for the US 23 corridor. There's 2 sessions. And again, it's an open house. So I believe it's a drop in when you can type situation. So the first session is from noon to 2, and the second session is from 4 to 6. So if any of the commissioners have interest in attending either of those, it's interesting to see what the state is thinking about that US 23 corridor, which obviously has a huge impact on all of us for a variety of reasons, whether we're travelers or as the maintenance organization for MDOT. So that's it for me, unless you have any questions.
Would you describe the reward for our employees that will be extended to them over the July 4th?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to do that. As a small token of our thanks for, again, our workforce just continuing to take safety very seriously. We will be closing the office on Monday, July 3rd, which fits nicely because July 4th is on a Tuesday. So for our folks, that gives them a nice 4-day weekend. So that is the reward for a job well done.
I want to compliment you on coming up with some very concrete, meaningful, probably gratefully appreciated
I
kinds of
have
gestures
received
for our workers.
numerous outreach of thanks and appreciation for that. So I'm sure these are the small things that we can do. Again, the biggest reward is that each and every day they're going home to their families.
Exactly.
Perfect. All right. Excellent. So actually, I lost my agenda here. So I guess first up today, we have Adam Lape, our Director of Operations.
Good afternoon, Adam Lape, Director of Operations. The 2023 Seal Coat program continues with the chip sealing portion this week. We're working in Ypsilanti and Superior Townships, Wire Road, MacArthur, kind of that loop there. The crew's actually transitioning up to Gettys Road right as we speak. So moving right along, short mileage this year, so we'll recalculate and regroup and go back to fog seal here in a few weeks. So we'll be moving a lot faster than we normally do, which is good. We're excited about that and practice a few new techniques this year. So
Why is it faster?
in general, just shortness of the program, because we're paving a lot of roads to prepare ourselves to chip seal them in a couple upcoming years. And then just our scheduling's worked out better this year. So we're kind of experimenting with that and getting right back on the roads within a handful of weeks to do the final fog seal, which in turn gets back to the striping sooner, and which is kind of our push and what we want to get to is a finished project with striping, road striping as soon as we're finished.
And remind me, we have our own equipment now that we do chip sealing and fog sealing with?
Yes, the whole seal coat program we do in-house. So we spread the chips on top of the sealer, and then the same trucks, the distributors that apply the sealer can also be used for the fog sealing process. And that's all we use for fog sealing. The rest is just, it literally dries, breaks the water out, and it's essentially like painting. And the rest is just flagging operations and pickup trucks.
And
So
how
pretty
are
simplistic.
how's the traveling public behaving?
As of right now, good. And as of this morning, now I have not talked to them this afternoon. It's much busier where we were working today compared to last week before we got rained out. We were on Fletcher Road. So Freedom Line, it's very, very simple compared to the complexity of the traffic we're going to see this afternoon. So probably update next week on that. But as of right now, minding our signs, minding our people, and we're coming home safe. So we're doing okay right now.
Do you ever contact the county sheriff's department for assistance if people start to get a little bit aggressive?
Yeah, and the sheriff's department gets our updates as well. So with, as you can tell, our relationship from previous experience with the Emergency Operations Center, they're very much accustomed to what we're doing in our practices and our maintenance activities in the summer. So they keep a pretty good eye out for us, kind of an eye in the sky, which is appreciated. But we have specific issues. Yeah, they're a phone call away, and honestly, they're on the same radio channels. They monitor our radio channels, and then we can use the 81 common channel, which is what we discussed over at EOC,
Right.
where we could have direct connection to them.
Okay.
So, yeah, we are a phone call away, so to speak.
Please
So-
don't hesitate. I want everybody
No, we
going
don't.
home safely every
Yeah,
night.
we don't. It's a great radio system we have, and we benefit from that every day. And then the local road program, limestone and road gravel, that's being spread in Lodi and Dexter Townships as we speak. So a little bit of weather delay last week, but we keep moving, and a little bit of moisture is actually helpful for us at this point. So moving right along there. And the material building construction still continues. Got a little bit of work to do yet on that. Last week, we started the excavation for the utility installation. So we're actually digging in the dirt, getting the utilities back to where the building will be eventually when it's finished. So moving right along there, and happy for that little bit of moisture I begged for the other day. And that is all I have for updates, as long as there aren't any further questions.
I have a question. I don't know if it applies to you, Adam, but I think it was a couple of weeks ago, there was work being done on Textile and Tuttle Hill.
Okay,
Are you familiar with that?
not specific, but I mean, we've had crews out there working shoulder maintenance.
Okay.
I'm not 100% certain kind of which, maybe if I can help you talk offline.
Yeah, so I was trying to go down Textile and they redirected us.
Okay,
And then I tried to go down Button Road and then they stopped us from going down Button Road. There were no detour signs. There was just, I thought maybe something had happened.
I think
or-
Matt can adjust that.
okay,
Okay.
yeah, that sounds a
Yeah.
little more than probably what we would have been.
Yeah, okay,
But we'll, between Matt and I, try to help
Okay.
you through that.
thanks.
You're welcome.
What day was that? Do you remember?
I can't remember what day
Okay.
it was.
Okay, I'll make a little note here.
Well, then we're not going to deal with it if you can't remember the date.
It's over with, so I'm fine. I was just curious.
Yeah, well, we still like to know about this because these are things that we might be able to help, whether it be a contractor, a utility company, whatever it may be, or internally if it is our crews out there. Okay,
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Adam. Next up, we have Matt McDonnell, our Director of Engineering.
Good afternoon, Board. Matt McDonnell, Director of Engineering. Can I start with the Textile Road?
Start wherever you'd like.
All right, we'll start on Textile Road. So there was a paving project that was taking place through our countywide paving contract that is millage funded. We were paving a portion of Textile Road. Quite likely that's what makes the most sense to me. So they during paving operations, it can be quite very much intense as far as the activity level going on. We do flagging operations, but sometimes because if they just laid the paving HMA mat and they have to roll it and let it cool, they may redirect traffic for that reason specifically.
Okay.
So that's probably likely what was going on. It was a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
so that
Right.
seems to line up with that. With my report, I did want to cover one thing that came up in chat. I believe it was the last meeting. It was related to a permitted project in a residential development. And I would like to plug in here and give a picture. I've got to log back in.
We're talking Park and Stabler Roads.
That is correct. So we are in Sow Township. Should be on your screen right now.
Give me a minute.
Yep.
I need to get my bearing. here.
Absolutely.
Jackson.
I zoomed out with the intention. On the top of the screen is to the north. We have I-94, Jackson Road corridor. Immediately south of I-94, that little 94 where my cursor is Zebra Road. Then we have Park Road that runs east and west, and then Stabler south. If you're familiar with Menards off of Jackson Road, this residential development is behind Menards. So I'll zoom in on it now.
So it's just that little chunk behind Menards?
That's correct. It looks little maybe on the screen, but there are a lot of homes back here and still yet to come. So I'll give you the background. So roughly 2016 is when we entered into a road improvement agreement with Biltmore, who developed the site. They went through and they were the landowner. They got site plan approval from the township. They did a traffic impact study. We determined what was necessary for mitigation. It culminated into a road improvement agreement that came to the board for approval. After it went for signatures with the board and the developer, we actually entered into a consent declaratory judgment in 2016. And then in 2016-17, ultimately construction was well on its way for development. As part of the residential development, there were a number of homes. Obviously, you can see from the site plan or the aerial figure here, there are a lot of homes. So Stabler Road at the time, where the entrances were located, was a soft surface gravel road.
So you're talking the entrance to the subdivision
So-
parts on either side of Stabler?
Right, so along Stabler Road, only a portion is paved.
Right.
The portion from Jackson south all the way down to the southerly entrance is currently paved today. They paved a portion of Stabler Road from the northern entrance to the southern entrance during the initial phase one of the development. That was part of the road improvement agreement plan. So what we did was certainly phase, the development has various phases in it. They can't build everything all at once. So what we agreed to do was we would phase the public infrastructure improvements along with the development phases. So first phase was paving of Stabler Road further to the south. And then in addition to, once they sold enough homes, they would then extend the pavement from the southern entrance on Stabler to the intersection of Park, and then also pave Park Road to the east to these subdivision entrances right here. And so that also included, I'll zoom in on the intersection. So the intersection itself, it has the Honey Creek Crossing Park Road to the east of the intersection, and just to the north of the intersection, it crosses there as well. Those are very short span timber bridges and very narrow. So not appropriate for the level and amount of traffic that this development is going to generate. So they had agreed to, in the agreement, stipulated that we were going to replace these structures as part of the road improvement agreement. I just want to read a section of the agreement. It says, replace the existing structures over the Honey Creek Drain on Stabler Road, just north of Park Road, and on Park Road, just east of Stabler Road, with one structure over the Honey Creek Drain. So what we were saying there is, in lieu of replacing two structures that we would have to maintain that would be of significant size and length, what we could do as a concept, and
Could you go back to the full screen as, yes, thank you.
Sure. I'm sorry. Anything you need me to do? Looks
Good.
okay. All right. So what we agreed to do was explore the idea of, instead of replacing the two structures, one here and one here, was do a little essential stream realignment and build one structure at the intersection and do a little road realignment and stream realignment. And what we worked with the developer's engineer, the Water Resource Commissioner's office, and they were agreeable to that concept. And then it took a little while for the developer's engineer to get that permitted, because not only did they have to get the road commission to agree, the Water Resource Commissioner to agree, then Eagle had to also agree, because it's waters of the state. So it took a lot longer than anticipated for that. They look at it as a stream, and stream relocation requires quite a bit of vetting, making sure that we're environmentally, making sure that we mitigate anything that we need to, that we also do Eagle required public notice. They actually had, I believe, a public meeting as well. And so all this was going on while the home development was occurring. So the developer, Biltmore, developed the project, and you can see even on Google's, it says Toll Brothers at Trailwoods of Ann Arbor, and then it says Lombardo Homes at Trailwoods of Ann Arbor. So Biltmore actually sold the home lots to both Toll Brothers and Lombardo. And then Toll Brothers and Lombardo each individually markets the development or residential homes to home buyers. So what we had was essentially an agreement back in 2016, before a shovel was put into the ground for any of this development construction, and a concept where it was working through getting permitted for a phased improvements to public infrastructure. And what has happened is essentially we're ready to move forward with the public road improvements to realign the stream, replace the two structures with one structure at the intersection. And ultimately what that will result in the drain and the road really flip-flopping locations. So, but here's what it looks like today. You have homes at the end of that cul-de-sac, and these are private roads. I should say that. So the development internal roads are private. So we don't have any jurisdiction or any issues with the road development internal. So these homes now exist today and we're unaware of the planned public road improvements that the developer had agreed to. And ultimately, the road is relocating closer to the home structures. Now, ultimately, it's relocating into the drain easement, and I'll show that picture as well. So this is our county GIS. Same location, just a little different and more, there's a lot more going on the screen. But you can see the orange area is what's considered a drain easement. And then we have public right of way for the road, and we're really moving the road to where the drain is at the intersection, and then the stream or drain is going to be on the west side of the road. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. And then the road itself is going to be further east. And what's happening is those homeowners were unaware that the road was going to get closer. And ultimately, that's what really caused a lot of folks, especially the ones that live in the cul-de-sac, to be upset. And so I know we had issued a permit to get started in construction. And what we have was some public outcry. Hey, what's going on? We said, all right, what we need to do here, developer to stop. We're going to have a public information meeting to describe what I just described to you all. The developer's engineer is going to run the meeting. However, road commission staff is going to be present, including myself. It is scheduled for June 29th, I believe 6 p.m. at Scioto Township Hall. And that is the background on that. That ultimately, the developer had agreed to these phased public road improvements. I should also mention they did build a right turn lane on Jackson Road as well. And that was done in 2018. It was part of the phase. And then also, when they get close to being complete, they are going to replace the structure right here crossing the Honey Creek on Stabler Road as well, because ultimately a lot of the construction traffic use Stabler Road for all the concrete trucks, and that is a timber bridge as well. So the timber bridge is just fine for a low volume roadway, and it has a limited life, much like our infrastructure, but not like your traditional bridge that's like a 50-year lifespan. So in working through the road improvement agreement, they agreed to replace it with a box culvert, which will have a 50-year life, because obviously that construction of that site impacted the life of that timber bridge. So
Commissioner Green, you have a question?
Yes, so are you gonna have a hearing in order to let the residents know what's happening, right?
public information meeting.
Public
So we're going to
information.
tell them what's going to happen.
Right.
It is not to vote on whether that happens or not.
Because the agreement is set in stone, so.
It
it's
is
going to
a
happen.
declaratory consent judgment.
Yeah,
You probably know what that means.
so it's public.
So basically what that means to
Letting
for
know what's
everyone
coming down
else,
the pike.
we both agreed, both developer Biltmore and road commission to enter into this agreement. And then we further put it to the court that this is a valid agreement. And so it's a declaratory consent judgment. This is set in stone. This is what needs to happen as part of the development.
Right, and the developer is running this meeting, Matt, because all of this is being done by the developer as a condition of permit.
Correct. And then ultimately also it was really the developer and the home builders that did not communicate these improvements clearly
That was my
to the
point.
prospective home buyers.
They have that obligation at some point to let the residents know that we have this agreement
That's
and your homes are going to be affected by it.
that's the issue at hand. Yep. And that's what the residents are rightfully upset about.
Commissioner Yamas?
So I'm trying, because it starts to get a lot. So our agreement is with Biltmore.
Biltmore.
And,
Permit has been issued
right,
to them, right?
right.
Yes, I believe the permit was issued to the LLC HC Investment Holdings, which is essentially Biltmore.
All right. And then the issue is with Lombardo and the other construction companies, right?
Yeah, the home builders.
The home
not-
builders.
And I don't know who built in this cul-de-sac, whether it was Toll Brothers or Lombardo, but both of them are active in that site.
All
They
right,
bought lots from Biltmore.
okay. So in trying to understand the whole thing, since this person was in chat.
Mhm.
um, They're looking to blame somebody and there's really, we can't point anywhere, but I wanted to make sure that our agreements, they were made in 2015 and 2016,
Mhm.
right?
And they met all the conditions of permit from our perspective, right?
Correct.
Which then requires us to issue permit.
Right, so we agreed, the agreement went in place in 2016. They've done various phases of public road improvements. And now they're to this phase where they're paving Stabler and Park and doing the structure 1 for 2. And we permitted that currently. We held up construction so that we have this public information meeting. After the public information meeting, they will be permitted to proceed.
Go ahead.
Is someone from the road commission going to the public information meeting?
Yes, I will be there along with one of our staff members
Okay.
working on the permit side of things.
Other questions about this? How much of Park Road are they gonna pave, Matt?
So that's another popular
We're
question.
getting a lot of dust.
That's right.
Oh.
So we've got a Park Road, the developer is responsible for paving their frontage. So you can see it. I've shown it, right? Basically from Stabler to these 2 existing subdivision entrances. That's where they're paving to. Scioto Township is underway with preliminary engineering with OHM advisors to pave the remainder
Okay,
of all the way to Z. But that timeline is undetermined.
I see.
They also were awarded state money for this portion of paving as well. Not for the full amount, but they've got a good chunk of change to put towards paving Park Road.
And then shift west for me on your
Shift
map.
west.
Where
West of
are the new
Stabler?
homes going in where there's the mowed part? Is that?
Yeah, that's a future phase. Yep,
Oh, here where it looks like clay. It's
Yep.
brown. So it's not across Stabler. It's not that green open space on the on the west side of Stabler.
no, it's the
Okay.
northeast corner of Park and Stabler.
Okay,
And then goes up behind
Wow.
Menards. So you can see Menards right there.
are there any provisions in the permit about dust control during all of this truck traffic?
We obviously would prefer the site construction traffic to use Stabler Road, which is a paved road, so that would cut down the amount of dust. If we see trucks, we try and direct them that way. But obviously during construction, there'll be some dust and we'll have to do water trucks and whatnot to try and control.
We
the
will,
dust.
or they will?
The permitted contractor, who's E.T. McKenzie, will, if dust gets a little heavy, obviously during construction, our permit folks will say, hey, you need to control your dust so it's not leaving the right of way. We need to do a little watering. Usually typically there's water truck on site, so
So are they prohibited from using Park and required to use Stabler, or that's
it will
just a
be closed during
recommendation?
construction. So
Well-
the roadway Park Road will be closed
Oh,
during construction.
okay,
So in order to do the culvert work and the road
Hmm.
reconstruct, it's just best to close the road.
okay.
Yep.
Gloria, did you have more?
I did. So in your picture, I know the other very strong issue for members in our community is I see when you drew where we're going to go through, will all those trees be removed in that squadron, or do you know how that's going to be affected?
Yeah, there will be tree removal.
All of them or some of them or?
All of them in the drain. So you can see if you're swapping places where the road and the drain are, the road is going to be where the trees are.
Right. Well, it looked like the road is going to be through the middle of the trees. So I didn't know if they were going to remove all of the trees because I imagine that's going to be another sore spot.
Yeah, there's significant tree removal there.
Yeah.
Commissioners, I'm sorry, is that?
It's piggybacking on your question.
Okay.
Has Eagle come up with a tree replacement plan.
They do not require tree replacement. So we do not have a tree replacement plan.
Any other questions on this project?
So I know, yeah, I have a
Go
question.
ahead, go ahead.
So the tree replacement policy that we have with, it's in conjunction with Parks and Rec. Am I right?
Well, we have a tree or a vegetation management tree policy. Correct.
Right. Okay.
I don't believe we plant trees.
We
do
typically
not.
do not plant
We do
trees.
not.
We may
Right.
issue a permit, but frankly, that's pretty sparse where there's sufficient locations or locations that make sense from a safety or drainage standpoint to be able to plant trees. But we don't plant
We
trees.
don't, right. So I didn't know, do we work with Parks and Rec or not? Because they plant trees, right? And at some point last year, they received money to plant trees? Or there was a thought that they might get money. I don't know. I can't. quote
They
that.
may have a lot of leeway and there's other grants and whatnot. We typically do not do tree mitigation when we do removals.
Yeah, the bulk of the trees that are gonna be removed are within the drainage.
Okay.
I'm sharing that on my screen now. That existing pathway will likely get, portion of it is gonna get relocated as well.
I hope they make that clear on the 29th,
Yes,
or that's all gonna run right.
our
back into
expectation
her.
is that we're gonna have clear description of what is gonna be done, what's gonna be removed, how close is it gonna get. Those are all things the developer's engineer will be hopefully providing, and if not, we'll make sure that we do.
Great.
Yep. All right,
Other questions before we move on? Or
Yes.
Matt moves on, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not to do with this project.
okay. Very good. You can stop sharing.
So what's your question?
Okay, so my question is,
1, 2, 3, go.
all right, so a biker approached me and said that they were just concerned about, I think it was on South Huron Parkway somewhere, where there was some construction, road construction, materials that were sort of in the, sticking out in the pathway of the bike path. And so he pushed it back a little bit so people wouldn't hurt themselves. But he was just saying if you could say something to someone to make sure that when they push the construction, I think it was a sandbag and something else was sticking out.
By temporary signing.
Yeah, that was it. Temporary sign. If that could be moved, to make sure the bikers are not in harm's way.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Couple other notes for my engineering report. Obviously, the weekly road schedule is very packed. Construction season is
Wow.
obviously here. Some of the notes, obviously, the chip seal program is well underway. The countywide paving program is underway as well. We also have our bridge preventative maintenance projects that are occurring. But some of the other road closures, I'll like to give you an update on Whitaker Road at Bemis Road. That is our roundabout project right at the border of Ypsilanti and Augusta Townships. That road has been closed. We are starting to build the roundabout, starting with the removals of the pavement. Parker Road structure between Shield and Dexter Chelsea. That roadway has been closed. We closed it right after school, the afternoon of school, last day of school, after the buses went through. They are currently working on utility work. Our contractor will get started after the 4th of July holiday. So right now, AT&T is wrapping up their utility relocations, and then DTE Gas is doing the same. So that works underway. Michigan Avenue in Ypsilanti Township, just northeast of I-94. That's a road reconstruct. That closure is still in place. We are ready for paving. There's been some delays in the paving, but it's scheduled to begin next week, Tuesday, the 27th. And then one other permitted job the Washtenaw County Water Resource Commissioner's Office is doing a drain project on Rawsonville Road in Augusta Township. There's a closure in place for Willis and Talladay. So we do a great job. Our communications team does a great job of getting these things out. Commissioner Fuller, you had mentioned being diligent, and drivers. One thing I personally do is, even though I know how to get to somewhere, I plug in my maps and Google Apps or Apple Map. They do a great job of picking up road closures and detouring us around. So if folks are getting frustrated, please use your tools that you have. Besides looking at our website, sometimes that can be overwhelming with the amount of work that we have going on. But the map navigation is a great way to direct motorists to try and avoid things that are going on in roadways, especially full closures. Does a good job of that. With that, concludes my report. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to address them now.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, sorry, it was a little long, but I thought it was important we covered that
It is.
permit job.
I appreciate the clarification. I'm sure we all
bet.
do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. And last but not least, our typical cleanup hitter, we got Dan Ackerman. We love our baseball analogies around here.
Yes.
Go
Good
Tigers.
afternoon, board. Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance and IT. I wanted to start my report with just a couple of comments with regards to the benefits presentation this morning. And, I do feel the Road Commission offers, good benefits, but I also wanted to say I feel very strongly that it's delivered very cost effectively. That was alluded to Public Act 152. And that came from the state of Michigan several years ago, which basically limits what public employers can pay for health insurance. And each year that is adjusted by inflation, which I'm not sure if there's a bunch of the legislatures that get somewhere in a room and they flip a coin to say, should it be 1% or 3% increase? I've yet, supposedly there's some sort of insurance inflationary index, but we're always kind of wondering, what is it going to be? Is it going to be 4%? Is it going to be 1%? But obviously we have to follow that. So basically then any cost above that is on the employees. So I think we do a really good job as far as plan design. Our employees and our retirees are consumers for insurance. So education is a big piece as well. For instance, if you're using the telemedicine, that's a $5 copay as opposed to 20. So that's just one example that, we've tried to educate our employees. And, as Nicole said, the utilization is fairly low, but hopefully it'll be more commonplace and there'll be a better comfort level. So that's just one example that, I feel like we offer good plans, but I do feel it's cost effective. And, again, with Public Act 152 for health insurance, if our costs go way up, that's kind of going to be kind of on the employees based on what the state of Michigan has delivered to us. So just wanted to share that. And Commissioner Fuller shared the presentation from SEMCOG on pension and OPEB, which I appreciate. And we had a little back and forth on that, and was delighted to see a lot of things that they recommended are things that we've already implemented. And certainly that's a kudos to Nicole and the HR team, as well as Brown and Brown, our agents, benefit agents, and Blue Cross. We meet with our benefit agent and Blue Cross a couple times a year. They always have new programs that are coming down the line, and just to kind of see where our trend data is. And it's really eye-opening, but I feel like we do a really good job to, again, it's all about the plan design. What is your utilization with your workforce, and how can you offer plans that kind of meet those needs? And I feel like we do a really good job with that. Another thing along those lines, they mentioned dependent audits. And I think back to the days when the city of Detroit declared for bankruptcy. And the emergency manager said, okay, we need to look at everything, right? And he said, okay, let's do an audit of our who's being covered for health insurance. There are people that had passed away. that had taken employment elsewhere that they were still paying for health insurance. Now that like is shocking. And of course, the state of Detroit's much larger than we are. But you know, it was mentioned on an annual basis, we go through open enrollment and every employee and retiree goes through that. So they're providing that information to HR. So that's like an audit in itself. So at least once a year, we're going through that. Our auditors look at it. When we do new pension reports or OPEB reports, we're looking at it again. So we're continually looking at that to make sure, you know, that we're covering, and it's not necessarily, you know, are we covering someone that we shouldn't be covering? It's more if somebody has aged out, say a dependent is was over 26, I believe.
Yep.
That the road commission still covering them, or when will they be turning 27, so on. So I do feel like we do a good job, and you know, relatively speaking, we're a small or mid-sized organization, but you'd be surprised at the number of dependents we have. So, you know, we're looking at things like that. So I really proud of all the things that we've done to be able to offer decent benefits in a cost-effective manner. So as I was sitting there and heard some of the comments, I just wanted to kind of share a couple of things as far as my viewpoints with that. So, with that, want to talk about the Michigan Pension Grant Program. And again, I'll probably talk about a couple more times, but it is important. So when we last talked about this, the board approved a resolution to allow me to submit all the information. We had until June 15th. And I want to acknowledge Erin because she provided the certified resolution within hours or maybe even minutes of the board meeting ending, because she knew I was kind of chomping at the bit to submit everything to the state. And as far as I could tell, we needed everything and you have to submit it all at once as opposed to saving your progress and so on. So Erin, really appreciate how timely you were with providing that last piece of information. So I was able to submit all the information to the state of Michigan and nothing happened. You know, I submitted everything. Usually you get an email acknowledgement or some sort of, hey, we received everything. So, and I heard from some of my peers at other road commissions, that was their experience as well. So, so I did call my contact that I have with the state of Michigan that actually reached out to me. I said, hey, as far as I know, we've submitted everything, and, you know, is there a way you can verify that, you know, that everything is in good order and so on? And she said, well, no. And I said, she said, it looks like you did submit everything. I can't really speak to the details, because I was concerned, let's say there's something that isn't complete, or, you know, they have, you know, I didn't dot an I properly, and they'd say, oh, it's past the June 15th deadline, even though I submitted initially before June 15th. And, you know, we can know it's considered late now. But it was her opinion that since we submitted everything prior to the deadline, even if there was something I need to correct, that we're good. So.
But still no acknowledgement of any kind officially?
No acknowledgement at all. But I'll get to that in one second. So we are now in the application review period. That's through July 15th. July 17th is the grant payment award notification period. And then we apparently there's some other forms we'll have to submit to them again if we are awarded this. And they have until August 30th to disperse the funds. And as a reminder, the funds will go right to MERS, our pension administrators, as opposed to coming to the road commissions, which makes sense to me. So I don't know if all of you saw the CRA update last week. They mentioned 26 road commissions submitted for the pension protection, and Washtenaw was listed. So Barb, there's my, I guess, somewhat acknowledgement. Somehow CRA received information from the state that we submitted. So,
I did the same thing you did,
yeah,
Dan.
right. So I'm like,
That I looked at that.
yeah,
Dan did. I was like, okay, we have, yep, I guess we submitted.
right, exactly. So obviously, if there's any updates on it, you know, I'm hoping the next correspondence will be, you know, congratulations, and here's more paperwork to fill out in order to receive the money. But And again, this was over $2 million, so it's significant. So I don't know if there's any questions on that. Okay.
Commissioner, yeah, no questions, Gloria?
No, because I saw that in the same paper. I was like, yes,
So
we
I was
made
gonna
it.
say, I was like that too, like, yes, all right, we're good. So along those lines, I did complete the Public Act 202, which again is another state requirement where we have to report the status of our pension and our OPEB. And again, based on the numbers, our pension would be considered underfunded. If it's below 60%, it's considered underfunded. We're actually at like 59 based on this data here. So, we're close, but so we'll probably have to ask for a waiver and, again, go through that process. But we can also add to the waiver, hopefully, that we're receiving, over $2 million as part of the Michigan Pension Protection Act. And then our OPEB was considered fine. We were at 63% and it's considered underfunded if it's below 40. So we're doing really well as far as our OPEB is concerned, which is great. So PA 202, you have 6 months after the audit to submit. So obviously there still would have been a little bit of time because our audit is December 31st is like our audit year. And you have 6 months after that. And you guys know me by now, I don't want to wait till the last day to submit. So that's already good. And we'll share the information.
Commissioner Green?
And so if we do receive that grant, will that take us above the 60% level?
Well, that's a bit of a loaded question because that will go into, our assets that we have. But then they'll have to run the numbers again based on investment results and based on, life expectancy. So all these factors, but the year, and I believe it was last year's information, that was the amount to bring us up to 60%. But that was just that snapshot point in time. So undetermined yet what that will do. Certainly the markets were not great as of last year. So that doesn't help as far as our investment results. So, I mean, it certainly won't hurt us, obviously, but as far as overall bringing us over 60%, I can't stand up here and say that because I don't know all the other factors that go into it.
And in theory, that amount was to bring us to 60%.
Based on
But
a
it's
couple
based,
years ago,
I think it was
right.
December 31st, 2021.
I believe so,
data.
right. Mhm.
So,
The numbers
everything,
might change.
yes, everything
I see.
continues to change, but in theory, that takes us to the 60% mark.
So if we receive that over $2 million right at the end of 2021, right before the report was done, it probably would say we're at 60%, but then everything changes right after that, unfortunately. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So we'll wait and see on that. And then my next focus is working with our leadership team on our budgets. And we have some budget meetings discussed or set up for not only the second quarter of 2023, but estimates for 2024 and 2025. And just as a reminder, we'll have a working session July 18th to go over all of that. So I'm certainly looking forward to that discussion. And then IT's been wrapping up a lot of projects, which is great. Computer refreshes at 85%, our cell phone rollouts at 99%. There's some security camera software that was updated in some of the drives. IT also has a power hour coming up for the Z Drive migration to OneDrive. So we're looking forward to that. And also the leadership team brought to a few of our meetings, could we look into some ergonomic desks for computer users? And in response to that, Chris ordered and set up 2 demo desks. So they actually sit on top of your desk and they can be raised and lowered. And, it seems to be more and more commonplace, any businesses that you go into, that they have that. And, it was something that our several of our employees asked if we could consider and look into. And so we have a couple demo options right now, just to see how they work and see what our employees think about it. I don't think the entire organization is interested, but we want to at least be responsive to our employees and maybe, offer an option. But it's really nice. They say you shouldn't always just sit at your your desk, you should get up, walk around, you should look, pick something off in the distance to look at for a while, whatever the case may be. And it's really nice how it can be raised and lowered. It's very simple. I think it looks good. So we'll see as staff, looks at it. And like I said, we've got a couple of demos, and as they use it, we want to make sure there's no issues with IT. We may have to order some longer cords, things like that. But, I think it might be a simple solution to, address a concern that we've heard from the workforce. And that's my report.
Are you going to try one?
I guess because I'm old school, I don't know. I'm not sure. So we have our headsets for our phone system. So I will get up and walk around. And that's really nice to be able to do that a little bit, stretch your legs, and you can still conduct business. I'm not sure I would utilize it, but I can say this: several years ago, a couple of my employees said, we need dual monitors. I'm like, why do we need more than one monitor? That's not going to be very helpful. And I said, okay, why don't you guys try it? And they were like, this is the greatest thing. And so then somewhat begrudgingly, I said, okay, I'll try it. And now I don't know how I ever conducted business without it, because it's so great having the dual monitors, and then you have the laptop as well. And put one spreadsheet up here and another spreadsheet here. So I guess never say never, but my initial thought was, I don't know if I could use it. So, but we'll see.
Once you try it, you don't go, but I love.
Right. Have you had some experience?
Yes. Yes.
Positive, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like desk space, but I love standing up and working,
Yeah. And it's, like I said, it's becoming more and more commonplace in the workforce for sure. So.
Interesting stuff.
Thank you, Dan.
Anything else?
Thanks.
Nope, I don't see anything else.
Thank you.
All set, Cheryl?
We're set. Thank you.
All right, please note that July 5th, which is a Wednesday, is when we will next meet because of the holiday on July 4th, 1 o'clock, regular board meeting. Virtual chat sessions every Wednesday, noon to 1. The 21st is Commissioner McCollum. June 28th, I will be staffing the chat session. If there's no further business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, did you have?
I just had one thing.
Okay.
I wanted to acknowledge that today is Juneteenth
Thank you.
Day.
I thought yesterday was, everything I read said
On the
yesterday
19th,
was.
yesterday was,
Yes,
okay,
it is.
to celebrate that
Oh,
that
okay.
holiday, because we don't celebrate it here, do we?
We do not,
Yeah,
that
we
is
don't
correct.
recognize that. Okay, thank you.
It's a federal holiday though.
It's a federal.
It is.
Yeah, I
federal.
didn't get any there yesterday.
It's a federal holiday.
Anything? Oh,
That's it. Thank you.
okay. Motion to adjourn. Did somebody?
So moved.
Support.
Great. Whenever you're ready, Aaron.
Commissioner Jeff Schmers,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
And Commissioner Burt Fuller.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.